report golf ball to hen egg size hail out of Platteville.
Oh, boy.
So we've got a little thing here. So that would be about this size, obviously, of hail hitting the ground. So, again, this cell is living up to what it's being warned for, which is that broad rotation and that large hail. And, again, that was out of Platteville.
And so that's verification. Sometimes we have radar indicated potential hail size. This is a confirmed report of large damaging hail. That kind of wind-driven hail can do significant damage to cars, rooftops, and the like. And it does seem to be expanding and intensifying. So we do have this large hail threat that includes Ipswich, and it's showing 1.6 at least. Belmont, Leslie, all within this threat of large hail as it moves to the east-southeast. And just to give you a little more of an orientation, here's Highway 151 that's going right through the large hail size, so hopefully we don't have anybody traveling in that particular area. And here's County Road X, so it kind of gives you the overall view. And there's Platteville. And again, Blaze, you said it was Platteville that did report that large hen-size hail. But the rotation itself continues to move to the east, a broad rotation, and this is showing towards the radar here. This is away from the radar, so this is indicating a broad rotation. Now, if we were to try to find a tornado, we're literally down to pixels in terms of seeing a big rotation, a significant rotation. And Blaze, you can chime in here, but right now I'm not seeing too much. Are you?
No, National Weather Service continues to just see the area of rotation that we're honed in on right here. They continue to watch a wall cloud kind of just scoot now what would be to the south and east of Platteville, kind of moving over what would be assumed Elmo, Elk Grove, and Jenkinsville. Haven't had any reports of any storm spotters on this cell reporting any sort of a funnel cloud. Or obviously a tornado. They're just continuing to maintain that it is rotating and that it still is keeping up a decent wall cloud. The National Weather Service is saying, though, and I'll switch it over to the Doppler to kind of illustrate this, but the cells that are kind of merging with this are maybe reinforcing some of that rotation. So we're going to continue to watch that, and maybe it will tighten up. As of now, it still continues to look very broad, so nothing really showing maybe a lowering in the way of a funnel cloud. And again, for folks just tuning in, that warning is for parts of Iowa, parts of Lafayette County. And to get you the specifics here, just Lafayette County, and that goes until... what is the exact time here? Sorry?
7:45.
7:45, yes. So, again, we still have about 20 minutes or so left with this. Monitoring the National Weather Service very closely to see if they have seen any funnel clouds, and I'm not seeing any right now. But still a very dangerous situation, as this could drop a funnel cloud or tornado at any time, so you need to remain in your safe space. We are live streaming this on our website, WKOW.com. So if you are in the path of this storm, and let me throw up a tracker here, you need to move into your safe space if you're not there already. Follow us online so that you can stay safe as well. So here's a look at some of those communities that are in the path of that storm. Lead Mining School by 7:25. We're looking at Benton by 7:27. Shullsburg, 7:25 as well. O'Toole School by 7:35. And then pushing further into northern Illinois by 7:53. So hopefully by then the warning will have been allowed to expire. But regardless, move to your safe space. Take us with you on your phone or mobile device. WKOW.com. We are live streaming there as well. But it looks like, again, this is our only tornado warning as we continue to watch a number of severe thunderstorm warnings, mainly for large hail. So I can switch that over as well, Bob, if you
let's
like
let's do the larger view here,
okay,
just to give folks the overall picture across the viewing area. And here it is, and you can see to the southwest of Madison, all the activity is away from Dane County right now. It is confined to far southwest Wisconsin, and that's where we have a tornado warning and severe thunderstorm warnings that extend off into Iowa. There are more warnings off to the farther to the west of the Mississippi. There were tornado warnings associated with those for a time. They're now severe thunderstorm warnings. We came into this situation thinking that the risk of tornadoes was low. So I'd be surprised if we get much in the way of additional tornado warnings, but we definitely have to respect the tornado warning that's in effect right now. And Blaze, just to cue you in, I know in the queue there's rules to follow in case you need to take go find your safe place, and I would like to review those too, that particular graphic, when you see that a little bit.
Yeah, let's, I think we have to pull that up full screen. If
yes,
not,
we do.
I have it. So let me pull that up here, actually, here. So you need to go into, obviously, Bob was mentioning your safe space. That would be a basement, preferably. If you don't have a basement, move to the most interior room on the lowest level of your house, putting as much between you and the outside as possible. You might want to take a pillow with you to protect your neck. Obviously, stay away from windows. Get out of large areas. If you don't have a basement, but your community has a storm shelter and you're in the path of the storm, move there. And then obviously stay safe in that safe space until the tornado warning has been allowed to expire. And a reminder, mobile homes are not safe. If you have friends or family that are outside and they can't get to a safe space, tell them to go into a ditch and try to cover their necks to stay away from that those strong winds. And we also have a place if you are out, again, out at work or in school, move to the basement or into the most interior hallway of the area that you're at. Avoid wide area spaces as well. And for at your home, that would be, as I mentioned before, your basement, and then just go to the nearest shelter, again, if your community has one, or get underneath a sturdy piece of furniture and hold on to it. Again, we are not seeing anything on the ground with that tornado warning. The latest information coming out of the National Weather Service is the rotation southeast of Platteville continues to look good. We are going to assume that with the incoming storms that any rotation is likely going to be rain wrapped. So it is going to be hard to see as the storm is moving into your community. So that being said, stay indoors. Don't try to go out and see this storm. We will continue to monitor any sort of information coming in from the National Weather Service, but it does look like the storm is still continuing to hold on to a decent inflow. We're continuing to watch as, and I'll take off the lightning here, fresh untapped air is continuing to move into this storm. So what I mean by that is it hasn't been worked over. This is going to continue to really feed this inflow right here. Kind of a little bit of a weak hook is trying to develop. So that's going to be right over Cuba City. This is going to be the area that we're going to be watching for any sort of funnel cloud, tornado. Platteville, I would say we are out of the worst of it. This is continuing to really quickly push its way closer to the northern Illinois border. Shullsburg, I still want you in your safe space. Me and Bob still want you there. And we're going to take this in a little bit closer. I'm going to put on the velocity, and then I'm going to put out a tracker. So any maybe smaller rural communities, if you're in the path of this, you need to be in your safe space if you aren't there already. So here's a look at who's in the path of this rotation. We've got Lead Mine School, Shullsburg, O2 School, and then it looks like Veta Grant School. You're kind of right at the border there, and that would be at about 7:48 is when that will impact you. So you still have at least 20 minutes to move into your safe space. And as I mentioned before, we are live streaming this on our website, so you can take our coverage with you through your phone or through your mobile device. But as the National Weather Service continues to say, nothing has come down from the ground, just continuing to see that wall cloud. But what they are seeing is this large hail. It looks like they just got a report out of Belmont, so that would be in Lafayette County, of egg-sized hail that was about 2 inches in diameter. So let me throw on the warnings here. Again, that tornado warning does go until 7:45. If you are in the path of that storm, you do need to take this seriously, and you do need to be in your safe space, a basement, lower level of your home if you don't have a basement, in the most interior room of your house. So again, Bob, still not seeing any sort of report of a funnel cloud. That is good news as this storm continues to just maintain its rotation right now.
Looks like the main threat is large hail. We've had confirmed reports of that. And we're talking large hail, egg size, I'm trying to say. That's large and can do a lot of damage. And this is, again, a look at Hail Tracker, and it does confirm at least 1.5 inches. That's Doppler estimated size of the particular hail, but we have confirmed reports of even larger than that, a good couple of inches. And it's been moving to the southeast. The highest risk was farther to the west not that long ago, but between Belmont and Elk Grove, that's where the risk of large hail is highest as it moves to the southeast at about 20 miles per hour. Blaze, why don't we just set the scene one more time? Let's go back just to the warnings only. And
with the warnings only?
Yeah, so let's go to warnings only. And
let me zoom out for you.
And we do have a new warning, or let's see, no, that's the same warning. But, okay, so here's the overall situation. First of all, we have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until midnight for the entire viewing area. You can see until midnight. Within the severe thunderstorm watch, we have several warnings. Some are in west central Wisconsin, but in our viewing area, they're confined currently to southwest Wisconsin. But there's more warnings off to the west in Iowa heading our way. So we are going to experience, I think, an ongoing severe weather situation. Let's hone back down into southwest Wisconsin and show you where that particular warning is. And let's go really tight on the warning for the tornado warning.
Okay, let me turn off lightning here.
Yeah, let's go in tight there and see what communities we can show that are within the warning area itself. And it's showing new diggings. That's within the path. And we have Etna, Benton, Strawbridge, also Jenkinsville. This is where we are most concerned about the rotation. And this is actually where the largest hail is located too. And again, we're putting on velocity. This is wind velocity. We're getting away from rainfall, but this is a tool we use to determine if there's rotation or just how strong the winds are. And you'll notice that we get these new updates, these new sweeps of the radar, and it shifts it our way. But again, nothing really tight. A tight rotation is not being indicated, which would be a tornado. Still showing the broad supercell, which is the thunderstorm itself rotating around in a large fashion. That's what we have going on right now. But these supercells produce big hail, and there's potential of tornadoes as well. And here's the rain. We have intense rainfall with a lot of lightning, which is a concern by itself. We have a flooding threat as we go through the night as one thunderstorm follows another. And a lot of lightning, too. Intense lightning, cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. And don't estimate the danger of lightning. More people lose their lives from lightning than any other severe weather event from severe thunderstorms. But there's that picture, too. So, yeah, let's bring it out a little bit more, show the perspective. And again, I'm wondering, Blaze, if we're just kind of setting up for near the state line. The southern tier of counties is where this threat will be ongoing. I'm not sure how much the rest of the watch is going to get, but it is until midnight, so we might get some more cells. But this has been it. It's been concentrated in southwest Wisconsin. The tornado warning, which includes the far southwest corner of Lafayette County, for another 10 minutes or so. But, Blaze, we haven't had any updates. Do you have anything new to report?
No. I was just about to say, with that latest scan, it really looks like that rotation is becoming more linear, which would be great news. Perhaps these actual incoming storms are maybe taking away some of that rotation, which would be some great news. We really want to see that red and that green really come together, but it's really become elongated. Yeah. But yes, it looks like maybe the boundary that these storms are eventually going to develop on may be actually setting up a little bit farther south along the state line. As we mentioned earlier, we've got really the southwestern portions of the state underneath the threats right now, but we also see an incoming line to our northwest out of the Twin Cities, out of La Crosse, and they're also dealing with not only the strong winds, but also the hail damage as well. So we're going to maybe watch as we kind of see two areas becoming affected over the next several hours, and then that northern line will eventually push south and eastward, which is why the National Weather Service expanded, I'm assuming, the watch to include more of the 27 News coverage area east of, say, where the ongoing activity is right now in Iowa, Lafayette, and southern parts of Grant County.
Yeah, good news there, though. With those cells that are near La Crosse, at least they're not being warned right now.
No.
They're strong, but they're below severe limits, and we'll cross our fingers that might persist.
Yes, most of them are, and if they are being warned, it's mainly for hail, not necessarily strong winds,
Yes.
gusts maybe upwards of 50 miles per hour at times.
Off to the west in Iowa, where we have more thunderstorms, can we just look at that? Can we put this into motion and see what the overall track is?
Yeah.
You see them explode in that hot and humid air, but it looks like this activity is sliding to the east-southeast, which would carry it across our southern tier of counties. That's where I'm most concerned about in terms of where the threat is going to be. But we have more cells to the northwest, too. But the warned storms, the ones that are packing a punch with the potential of damage, are in Iowa, tracking to the east-southeast. So the bottom line is there's more cells off to the west also heading our way. So once this particular cell perhaps dives more down Illinois, we've got more out here that we're going to have to track. Main threat is large hail, as we've already had that threat, and we've had confirmed reports, but we can't rule out the possibility of a tornado as well. Again, tornado warning still in effect, but yeah, I would agree with you, Blaze. We're starting to lose the overall characteristics of a supercell. Everything's kind of blobbing together, getting a big merge of the cells, which would kind of disrupt that overall circulation. But here are communities within the path of the storm, including O'Toole School at 7:38, White Oak Springs at 7:38. We have White Oak at 7:40, Council Hill at 7:47, and let's see here, Scales Mound High School at 7:49. It looks like from there we're getting more into Illinois with the rest of these particular communities.
Yeah, and I just threw on velocity here, as you mentioned, that it's really losing kind of that isolated look. Mm-hmm. I'm going to also put up the warning, too, just to show you kind of where that rotation is and who's still in that tornado warning, kind of approaching Shullsburg, what looks to be just over 11, north of New Diggings. So continue to remain in your safe space. But, Bob, I'm not seeing the really tight, classic, really bright greens and really bright reds. It's become more elongated, and if I take it back, I would say it looked better as it kind of moved into
good illustration
outside of the Platteville area, and then it really is becoming more almost linear over time.
Right, which is good news. This warning is due to expire in 7 minutes. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's not reissued, that we don't get a new tornado warning unless there is some intensification. And I just wanted to stress to our viewers, we can't rule this out. We just have an extremely warm and humid atmosphere in place, tremendous amounts of fuel for thunderstorms to feed on. So even though this is the trend right now that we're starting to lose the characteristics of a tornadic cell, it could redevelop at any time. But I would say, at least at this point, what we're seeing at the present time is that this tornado warning probably will not be extended. And just so our viewers know, if that's the case, at 7:45, we are going to go back to normal programming, but keep live streaming going. But then if we get any new warnings, we will break in at least briefly. If it's a severe thunderstorm warning, we'll get it in and out of programming quickly. So that's going to be the weather picture as we go through much of the rest of the evening. Blaze?
Yeah, and I wanted to throw, I'm just catching up with National Weather Service. They're not showing anything new out of this tornado warned cell, but I did want to show kind of the overall look of it. I'm going to take off the watches and warnings here. I would really like to see, this is where the rotation is, but I'd really like to see that alone for the tornado, the rotation to maybe continue. That being said, this is great news for maybe the kind of dispersion of the rotation kind of becoming more linear, catching up with the overall movement of not only the initial supercell, and I'll point at this cell right here, but also kind of merging in with this cell over southern parts of Grant County. And as they do that, they all kind of act as one instead of acting as separate cells. That's why this supercell, and I'll pull it back, was able to really maintain itself for so long because it was by itself through the 7 o'clock hour, try to keep itself going there. And now it's merging with another cell. So hopefully what we watch is this all becomes kind of one big blob of heavy rain, obviously large hail, but we eventually start to lose that rotation. And I will say, because they haven't really issued it downstream.
You notice, Blaze, we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning downstream.
Yes.
From the tornado warning. So why don't we just hit that quickly?
Yeah. So this will be for northern Illinois. Let me get a little bit of information out of this. Until 8:30 is when this severe thunderstorm warning will be allowed to expire. And again, that's more into northern Illinois, but they're warning it for 60 mile per hour wind gusts as well as quarter-size hail. They're still keeping the tornado tag possible, so they are still seeing that rotation continue.
But Blaze, I'm also seeing just to the east of Darlington now, that's a new warning that covers the rest of southern Lafayette County. That's what I was actually referring to.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, it looks like it goes until at least 8 p.m.
This warning goes until 8 o'clock, and that will be warned for 8:30, and that will be for 2-inch hail and 60 mile per hour wind gusts. So that would be this warning right here, and that also has that possible tornado tag with it. This is that supercell. And speaking of that supercell, the rotation this is from the National Weather Service, with that cell over Lead Mine and Benton has picked back up and continues to be a concern. So they're going to continue that tornado warning, the severe thunderstorm warning, with that tornado tag possible to the Illinois border. But again, nothing in terms of funnel reports or anything on the ground.
And I understand we do have some photos that have been submitted from viewers. So let's take a look at those photos. This is of the hail that we had reported.
Yeah, Bob, Brandon Taylor here in the studio. Our team of meteorologists are continuing to track these storms as we are following multiple warnings. And let's take a look at one of these reports that we've gotten in from one of our viewers who just sent this into our Facebook page. He is showing us what the hail looks like. I think this was out of Platteville, if I have that picture here. Yes, it was from Matt. Yes, our friend Matt in Platteville of the hail. And look at the size of that as he is holding that in his hand. I am no meteorologist, but that to me looks like what? That could be the size of like a golf ball or so. Yeah, it looks like the size of an egg or so. So we are continuing to track these storms as we are following multiple warnings in Lafayette County and south central Wisconsin for the next few minutes. Now, here's a list of tips that our meteorologists have been encouraging us to follow as we are tracking the storm. Get to the lowest floor in your house, an underground shelter, a basement, or a safe room. The lowest level is so important. And if you do not have a basement, get into an interior room. Blaze said earlier it would be a good idea to grab a pillow with you as you head into that interior room. And we are streaming right now on our website on WKOW.com. So if you do have to go into that interior room or your basement, make sure you take your app, your tablet, your computer, whatever you have with you to make sure that you stay safe. And if you happen to be outside right now, we know there are several events happening here in southwestern Wisconsin. Make sure you get to a shelter, and as a last resort, go to a ditch, but make sure you stay tuned to NOAA Weather Radio and, of course, download that 27 Storm Track weather app.
Just wanted to let you guys know that Grant County is no longer underneath any sort of warning. It looks like even that little bit of hail is not going to be enough to push another severe thunderstorm warning. So it looks like mainly our concern is going to be for what looks to be Lafayette County, 2 tornado warnings and 2 severe thunderstorm warnings.
Yes. And again, the thunderstorm warnings that extend farther off to the east, they have been what we call tagged with possible rotation. But right now, anyway, this particular warning is severe thunderstorm. So we do have 1 tornado warning still in effect, though, and it's going to go for a while. So now we are going to be actually extending our coverage because this particular tornado warning that includes the far southwest corner is in effect until 8:15 this evening. dropped out part of the warning at 7:45, but not the whole thing. And here is the communities that we're most concerned about within the tornado warning, including Lead Mine, New Diggings, and we have White Oak Springs, Schultzburg just out of the warning. And again, this is velocity data. This is the wind pattern, and it does show a large rotation, but within that, we're not showing anything real tight that we'd be concerned about with an actual tornado. And now we've overlaid rain. So we've gone from the velocity data, the wind data, to the rainfall intensity. And you can see the rain scale here. When you get into the reds, that's when the rain is very heavy. And we do have an extended period of heavy rain taking place over southern Grant County, also southern portions of Lafayette County. A lot of lightning. You can see the cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. And large hail has been a problem. However, I'm not really showing anything in terms of radar on the possibility of large hail. Usually we get even some purples. This has dropped down to a large degree. We're not showing the hail size that our hail tracker portion of Doppler radar was indicating earlier. Matter of fact, Blaze, if you want to throw a number on the blue there, it should be pretty low.
Let me take some samples for you.
Yeah, it's not going to be that much. So that's good news. We do have hail probably occurring, but I think it's below, well, it's still showing 1 inch size. So it's still packing a punch. It's not 1.5 to 2 inches like it was earlier with the cell, but it's still showing the potential of hail. And that is the size of a hail that we use to prompt a severe thunderstorm warning. So you can see that's Wyota, we have Gratiot, Red Rock, and Dunbarton that are all within that hail threat that extends across portions of Lafayette County, just to the south of Darlington. And again, he's overlaid the thunderstorm and the rain intensity. So the red is the heavy rain and also the hail that we have associated with that thunderstorm. Yeah, I'm just not too impressed by the warning itself. We are showing some inflow of dry air, so that indicates that there is a rotation, a broad rotation taking place when you get this kind of notching. Would you agree with that, Blaze?
Yeah. That I just threw that little arrow up there to show where, at least to me, it seems like the best inflow notch would be. So that kind of movement of fresh air. But I want to see that more north to south and not west to east. West to east, to me, looks to be more linear, more becoming, more straight line wind, kind of, what is the word I'm looking for? Straight line wind threat than, say, that rotation, that tornado. And if I throw up velocity real quick.
Yeah, can you look at wind speeds a little bit there?
Yeah, and I was just about to say we can take a sample here, too, of some of these winds because, again, while the rotation is broad, I would say the best place is right over Etna. And if we take a sample, let me throw off the watches and warnings here. If we take a sample of some of these, we're seeing maybe some gusts upwards of 50 miles per hour, 55 miles per hour. Keep in mind this is a little bit off the surface, but really we're getting a mixed bag of 50 to 55 to maybe 30 back behind kind of that leading edge of strong winds. And if I take more samples from around just outside of the greens, maybe towards 20. So, again, that leading wall is certainly pushing its way into New Diggings, Strawbridge, White Oak, Benton, Etna. Really anybody along 11 into Schultzburg is definitely dealing with the strongest of the winds, that big area of broad rotation. And the latest scan, to me, it's trying to be a tornadic supercell for sure. It's trying to get that rotation going. But I just don't see it for this cell right now based on its current look. I don't think it's going to be able to pull away. And as it begins to cross over the border there into northern Illinois, that inflow notch is becoming less and less dynamic. It's becoming less and less discrete, really merging with that cell that also just got a tornado warning for our friends in eastern Iowa there. So I think that one might be the cell that's going to be taking on over, maybe taking away from some of that energy with the cell over Lafayette County.
Yeah, that cell is actually pretty impressive impressive. That's in northwestern Illinois, right along the Mississippi, approaching Belleville, Bellevue. This is, I think, kind of overtaking the whole environment, and this, again, that's looking pretty good in terms of a potential tornado. This is the location of tornadic activity that you usually see in a severe thunderstorm. It's more on the southwest flank of the severe thunderstorm. You contrast that to what's going on here, it's just all merged. So I think that the threat is really dropping off fast for southwestern Lafayette County in terms of this tornado warning, and it's being overtaken by this cell, which is tracking to the southeast in Illinois and Iowa. So that's moving away from us. Good news there. I think the main threat right now is actually some large hail. We were analyzing the potential of 1-inch size hail, and there it is right around the Gratiot area, more in south central and southeastern Lafayette County, Wyoto, Dunbarton. 1-inch size hail is a potential, but the hail size has definitely gone down too. When this cell was over Lancaster, we had hen egg size hail actually reported, and we showed a photo of that just a little bit earlier. By the way, viewers, if you do have some hail pictures to send us, please do send it to our connect.com, and we'll get those on the air, because we do want to show people actual concrete results of the severe thunderstorm instead of just radar indicated, which is what we use for the most part. But it looks like things are kind of backing down a little bit, Blaze, in terms of...
Yeah, I was just going to say, latest hail scans really showing that maybe a lot of the atmosphere has been really worked over, even with this one cell. There was nothing stopping these storms from, once they developed, to quickly go severe. And so what we kind of see these storms do is they just have this almost, they're starving, if you will. And they're going to eat as much of this energy as they can, and then they're going to move on. And that's really what is kind of seen here. These storms were entering into an environment that was very good for not only large hail, but strong winds. And, this is the only hail core, even if I zoom out, that I can see within the 27 News coverage area. And as Bob previously mentioned, this cell produced hen-sized egg stones that we did see from some of our viewers. So this cell has really weakened over the last hour or so as it just ate up as much of this free energy as it could. We still do continue to see that severe thunderstorm warning and that tornado warning until 8:15, that tornado warning. Lots of lightning with this cell, so that to me means that it's still very healthy. It's not dying, but it may be losing that tornadic aspect of it and maybe switching over to more of the strong wind gusts as well as that hail threat. National Weather Service out of Milwaukee continues to say that there's not been any lowerings with that supercell, even with that tornado warning. Latest sort of hail reports out of Lafayette County, Darlington, a trained reporter measured 1 inch in diameter hail. So that was kind of measuring up with what we saw with our hail tracker there. Platteville, the worst is off to your south. Cuba City, I would say the worst is off to your south as well. Darlington, that rotation is more towards Shullsburg. Folks in Shullsburg, if you're with us, continue to stay in your safe space. Again, that's the basement. That is the lowest level in your house if you don't have a basement in the most interior room. I'm going to take it into that rotation, still broad, but still showing some sort of rotation. Now beginning to cross over into northern Illinois. So this is maybe moving slightly faster than the warning itself. New diggings, you're kind of right within that rotation. Shullsburg as well. Council Hill over the border there. Hazel Green, stay in your safe space because you're kind of on the edge of that rotation too. And Dunbarton, you are still in that broad area. But this to me looks more linear than actual tornadic rotation, that tight rotation that we would otherwise see with a very healthy tornadic supercell, I should say. Inflow notch, if we throw it over to Doppler radar here, I'll point it out. This is where I see it right here. So maybe feeding into southern parts of Lafayette County, but it's not discrete. It's really it's pulling in air from this area right here, which is being worked over, cooled by this rain. It's not that fresh moist,
So yeah, I
unstable
agree,
air.
Blaze. It looks like that cell is starting to move up across the state line. We just got a severe thunderstorm warning for Juneau County.
Yeah,
Those cells that are in west central Wisconsin are starting to drop in a little bit. So let's shift our focus, at least for a little bit, on those cells. And let's see, it's still, there it is. It's popping up now. We do have, for portions of Juneau County, the northern half of the county is under that severe thunderstorm warning, including Necedah. And this is the cell. And it's, let's see, I assume it's for wind gusts over 60 miles per hour.
60 mile per hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail.
Okay, so more of a garden variety severe thunderstorm, because that's the minimum criteria that triggers severe thunderstorm warning is when you get wind gusts up to 60. We are showing extremely heavy rainfall with this, and there could very well be some hail within this dark red that's really indicating a high reflectivity from the cell. So these are communities within the cell there, and they include Oakdale at 757, Mather at 802, Fountain at 805, New Lisbon at 811, Clearfield at 812. We have Necedah at 817, Nakusa at 821, Quincy at 825, Rome at 830, and as we get towards Adam itself, it is going to be at 8:33 this evening. So let's just bring the overall big picture out here, Blaze, and show our viewers what's going on there.
Yeah, and I did want to say that they did get reports out of this cell here, and maybe more of the southern edge of it, that, I would definitely say this part of the storm here has been reported of producing up to baseball-sized hail. So that would be almost 3 inches.
Yeah.
But again, that's more of this pushing more into Viroqua right now.
But they are tracking, looks like a southeastern track with those cells as well, east-southeast. So these are going to start to move over at least northern portions of our viewing area. And again, large hail has been the primary severe weather threat that we've been seeing with these cells. So, yeah, baseball-size hail, definitely a damaging hail. Oh, there's the hail core that our hail tracker model is analyzing. You can see it just to the east of La Crosse, around West Salem, is where, 2.3 inches, big hail with this cell. So as we go through the evening, we might very well get new severe thunderstorm warnings for our northern counties, and the threat might actually shift from southwest Wisconsin to more of the northern part of our viewing area. But there are more cells back in Iowa tracking our way as well. Let's put watch and warning information up there so we can sum it up. If we can just go to that map only and take away radar. So this is the picture. This is the cluster of severe thunderstorms that are moving east-southeast, and they will be crossing probably into Richland County, Sauk County, Columbia, along with not only Juneau, but also Adams, Marquette, and Green Lake. All those counties will probably be affected by those cells. And again, they're just working into this very unstable environment, and we could very well see them maintain their strength as they continue to track southeastward across southern Wisconsin. It looks like, Blaze, these cells are primarily shifting more to the south of the state line. So I'm not sure if if the threat ongoing through the evening will be much down here once these start to move out. It looks like it's going to shift farther to the north.
Yeah, I was just going to say they're kind of more of that southeast shift, and perhaps the cells over Manchester. So as you were saying in northeastern Iowa, at least the really severe ones, I think those are going to push more into Dubuque. I think our threats then shift to the line moving out of, say, northwestern Wisconsin that originated near the cities. Certainly that southern edge there pushing into Viroqua looks to be the strongest. I would still say for folks in Lafayette County now, it's maybe becoming heavy rain and hail. I think that rotation is pretty much done, but I'm not seeing any reports of, again, any sort of lowerings from that.
Okay. All right. So,
and we did get a report from what looks to be out of Belmont, again, tennis ball size hail with that. That was at 725 though. So I think that just goes to show you how quickly that cell really weakened. within the hour within the 7 o'clock hour.
Yeah, but that really was packing a punch for a while, and I'm concerned as these cells come in, we could have some very large hail associated with them as we go through the evening hours. I think that's going to be the primary threat. Large hail, damaging hail that can do a lot of damage to a car, can do damage to rooftops as well. But you can see Toma, Sparta, Melvina, as we get a little bit farther to the east of La Crosse. They're not quite in our viewing area yet. Much of the cells, they're going to be working their way into Juneau County and eventually into Sauk and Richland counties. But they still have a little ways to go before they really start to impact much of our viewing area. But I understand, Brandon Taylor, you have some more pictures that viewers have submitted of hail.
Yeah, Bob, I'm going to give you and Blaze a chance to reset it and look at some of this new information coming in. But yeah, we have received some pictures from some of our viewers, and I want to encourage you at home, if you are in a safe space or maybe you can step outside once the storm has passed, if you have a chance to take some pictures and then you can send them to us, you can send them on Facebook, Twitter, however you can to make sure that we can safely show what's happening in your area. But yeah, let's take a look at some of these pictures that we've received from some of our viewers. This actually was shared by one of our meteorologists, Max Paris, and this is from Eric Radke, and this is the storm near Lancaster. And as you can see, just look at those clouds as that storm was moving in. We also are seeing some hail reports, too, as well. You know, Bob has been talking about the hail reports. And look at this right here. This is from Marion Olson, hail from just west of Belmont. And as you can see, she put a ruler to it. Quite a bit of hail there, and that's some hail that can do some damage to cars, to property as well. So we want to make sure that everyone is safe. And so here's another look at those safety tips. We want to make sure that everybody stays safe. So make sure you take a look at your screen. Find a safe place, and that means going to the lowest floor in your house, an underground shelter, your basement, or even your safe room. Make sure that you cover your head. Interior rooms or hallways are the safe alternatives if you cannot get into a basement or if you cannot get into an area room. And if you are outside, make sure that you have a safe shelter to go to. We mentioned this earlier. All day we've been talking about some of the events, concerts, and festivals that are happening here in southern Wisconsin. Make sure that if you are outside, you can get to a safe shelter. And as a last resort, get into a ditch. If you have nowhere else to go, make sure you get into a ditch and cover your head. Stay tuned to 27 News and make sure you have your NOAA weather radio on as we continue to track these storms. It looks like Senior Chief Meteorologist Bob Lindmeyer is back at the wall. So let's check back in with Bob right now and get an update on these storms.
Okay, thank you, Brandon. Yes, so we're going to start with the large picture again and show the overall situation. By the way, we've been in continuous coverage for some time, and station policy puts us with, here's good news. The tornado warning's been canceled. Let's go down there, Blaze. And that has, and not the least bit surprised because we were seeing weakening. It was supposed to go until 8:15, but now it's shifted down to Illinois, which is where we expected. So, tornado warning has been expired. We do have reports of large hail, frequent lightning, so severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect. But this means at this point we can break from continuous coverage. We'll continue to show you continuous coverage on our website, but in terms of actually being on air, we're going to drop out of coverage right now and reset and let you see normal programming. Once we get any new warnings, we will interrupt coverage. But in the meantime, just switch and see us on our website, and we're going to go back to normal programming.